hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
Hi guys, thank you for tuning in to the Family First Life Emerald City YouTube channel. I am Brittney Fontana, and we have my co-host with me today, our agency owner, and that is Brad Allan.
Morning.
How you doing, Brad?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's another beautiful Thursday, and we're just, doing our thing, ending the quarter 1 and ending March. So hopefully hitting it with a bang with our team and helping more families out there. Today, I really wanted to discuss with you, Brad, recruiting.
Yes.
Because that is such a big, important, factor when you're building an agency.
Right.
Because obviously to build, you need to recruit and you need to have an army with you, right? So recruiting.
Yes. So when it comes to recruiting, it's a
big
big topic, right? Yes. So when people on the team are wanting to build an agency, first I always ask them, why exactly is it that you want to build an agency? And everybody's answer is different, but for me, I can tell you that I really enjoy running business. I really genuinely enjoy being in the field and helping families. But if you're going to just do it by yourself, you can only impact so many people. And so if you share what you know and you help others learn how to do the same thing, that means you're building a team, right? And so some people don't necessarily love the field as much as I do, and so they want to have an exit plan. And so either you're going to be okay with being in the field for as long as that is, or you're going to be in the field until it makes no sense to be in the field anymore, because you have so many people that need your time for training and your recruiting and all that stuff. So there's really no wrong answer when it comes to running an agency. But if you want to have a big agency, you can't do it all yourself.
Oh, no. And that's where I came into play.
That's right.
For Brad Allan.
That's right.
And I can tell you, recruiting, I came from a project management HR kind of role before. So going into this, I'm like, I got this. This is going to be easy.
Right.
Brad told me his goals when I had started for the agency. And I'm like, I can do $1 million a month for this agency by the end of the last year. And I started in July.
No problem.
I was like, why are they stressed? Like, this is so easy. No.
It's not easy.
I can tell you firsthand, coming into it thinking it was going to be easy, thinking all the experience I had doing what I was doing before, I was going to nail it out the park. I was like, oh, Brad, I got you. I'm your retirement plan 100%.
Right.
And I learned it's a lot harder.
It is.
We have to, when we're recruiting at the level we're recruiting at, when I started, you have to keep those interviews at those 15-minute intervals that I was trained to keep.
Right.
So for me, I'm a talker, as you could tell. And so that was a challenge at first for me. I'm like, okay, and then controlling the conversation. You have to control that conversation on the phone when it comes to recruiting.
You bet.
And I think a huge thing too I learned was setting the right expectations.
Yes, that's key. That's so important, because you can hit the numbers by recruiting a lot of people.
And we were at the time, yeah.
Right. But like Sean Mike has said, you really haven't recruited somebody until they've written their first piece of business. So it's okay to put them in class. It's okay to get them into contracting. But until they actually get out in the field and help a family and get compensated for doing the work, it's not real to them. And so you'll kind of had fake numbers.
Yeah, and we did. And so going into it, I was like, I literally was hiring anyone and everyone, thinking I was doing it right, because I'm like, well, anyone can do this. Anyone really can't. And yes, anyone can do this, but again, I was not setting those right expectations. So when I have, Bob, Mary, and Susie not doing what they're supposed to do, and I'm getting frustrated, there's no one else to blame but me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really setting the expectations that this is hard work.
Right.
You have to invest. We're a lead investment business. It's kind of giving up a little bit of things, making sacrifices.
Yeah, totally.
Especially your first year, and your first 90 days are so important because you're learning so much. You're going through this huge learning curve, and I'm like, it's easy. You got it. You're fine. You're good. No worries. You want to only, invest $100? You're fine. That works.
Right. That doesn't work. Yeah.
No, I'm like setting up all these people, unfortunately, for almost failure. And I didn't realize that until probably this year.
And that's really common with a lot of
Yeah.
agency owners that are looking to. It's almost like you get addicted to the leaderboard and
Oh.
how many people are putting folks into contracting, and so they quote recruited somebody, but conversion from contracted to writing agents is really what you need to
Way
focus
different,
on. And you need to make sure your ratios are good. And then once you've got somebody writing business, you need to keep them
Yeah.
consistent with the daily activities. And like you said, we're a lead-based
Yeah.
company, so you have to be constantly buying leads. But back to the, building versus selling piece, they're really the same. They really are. I mean, so on the sales side, you have to have a lot of leads so you can make a lot of dials,
Yeah.
so you can set a lot of appointments, at least a third to a half more than you think you're actually going to sit with. And then on the building side, it's really very similar. It's still a numbers game. You have to be consistent. Regardless of how you meet them, you need to sit in front of a lot of people. And then to your point, when you are in front of those people, you need to really ask very good questions and set appropriate expectations so that people don't come into the organization thinking that it's going to be like minimal effort, maximum return. That can happen. I mean, people do hit the lottery, but I'm saying for the majority
most
of
part.
people, like 99.9% of the people, it's not complicated, but it doesn't mean that it's easy.
Easy.
It's all a mental
Yeah.
game. It really is. It's
And-
totally mental.
And, going back to it, I kind of made all the mistakes a recruiter makes, right? Staying with a structured schedule and trying to stay on top of that, controlling those conversations, setting the right expectations. And agent development is a huge part of that too. And not being in the field myself, trying to do this for people, that was a huge struggle for me because I was trying to develop the right agents, and I'm like, developing, people for my old companies that I worked for. Cause I'm like, well, that's how I would develop a strong person. Right. So I'm going to do the same here.
Right.
And it's been completely different. And Brad, you have been such a help for me understanding how to develop agents the right way. That's kind of why we're starting over this year. We kind of had to start from scratch because we kind of built up what we thought, what I mostly thought was successful. Let's say that. And it just hasn't been. And I had to take a moment and realize what I was doing, because I'm like, the goal I had and thinking it was easy was completely washed out by the end of last year.
And I wouldn't want it to be easy. People don't respect free. And working for it and knowing how hard we work to build, so let's future trip here a little bit.
Let's do
So
that.
when we are at $1 million a month agency, and it's still, that's just another plateau, but that's the goal for right now. We're right around 250 to 300 families a month that are being helped. And we'll get there.
We will.
And we've learned a lot and we've made some mistakes. So I think today's episode really is, we're human.
Yeah.
We make mistakes, and some of the mistakes that we've made that we could help other people hopefully avoid. One would be ask better questions.
Yes.
Set the expectations appropriately that you're going to need to invest both time, talent, and treasure.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
And then stay close to people, get them paid, and then keep them engaged so that they actually have a chance of sticking around.
Yeah, learn when you're in the interview, of course you're wanting to ask those hard questions, like what Stephen Yee said. And that really changed the game for our interviews, because you're asking more of those psychological questions.
Yeah.
And of course you want to think everyone's going to tell you what you want to hear. But when it comes down to those moments, you can use that ammo that you had in that interview.
Right, their why, for example. Why is this so important to you? So one of my favorite whys was Jerome Mickens when he moved here from Virginia to Chandler, Arizona. He's like, I'm all in. There's no plan B. This has to work for me. I'm in my early 50s. I know how to do this. I'm moving close to you, Brad, so that I can learn from you as a mentor. And so when he's struggling and it's like, oh man, this is hard. It's like, well, remember your why. And it's so important. I rely on my why. Do you know what my why is?
B, I don't think we've ever discussed what your why is.
So my why, it's kind of changed. I mean, it's typically family.
Which it's probably gonna,
Yeah.
here and
So
there.
so my why right now is when I walk in the door after working really hard all day in the field, and the agency's doing it, you're crushing it, right? And I'm out there doing the sales side, and I walk through the door, and my wife Patty looks at me with that, look of really the appreciation, respect, and love, and like I'm so proud of you for working so hard for our family. I love that look.
Yeah.
I really, I mean, I don't want to lose that look.
No,
That's so important to me. And
I don't think you ever will either.
well, God willing,
you.
as long as no pressure, as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I think we'll be okay.
We will. So
yeah.
it's really setting the right expectations, asking the right questions, keeping a structured schedule will be huge for you.
Yeah.
Keeping control of those conversations,
Right.
and developing your agents in a healthy, right way, and learning their communication style. I mean, that's huge. I
Big
can
time.
talk to Brad
Yeah.
in a way different way than I speak to Jerome,
Yeah.
because I know their communication styles. I know it's different. I know I can be more tough and realistic with him, but I can't do that with all my agents. I got some more sensitive, or I got people that need to hear it in a different approach. So really learning a communication style that your person, your agent can understand is huge, because you want to motivate, you want to develop these agents in the right way, and communication is everything for that. It goes a long way in that. So really learning to do those things and killing it on social media. I'm telling you, people, social media is huge for recruiting and growing a team. I mean, you see Nina and Hayden. I mean, they blew up their agencies in 2020 due to social media. I mean, just doing those right things, looking at things that are trending is huge. Looking at people, hashtags, insurance agents. I mean, you can find out so many different things through social media and ways to reach out to people if you don't know other insurance agents or other insurance groups and things like that. I mean, social media is just huge as well. So if I could ever say anything about that, is just to really use that as a tool to do some headhunting, to find people, find people that you think have the right grit, the right work ethics and things like that, that are really going to take your team or your agency to the next level. I think that's also a really huge key that people should probably use. I mean, it's free, so
So we do well, we've done Zip Recruiter, we do Craigslist, and so I mean, everything works a little bit. I think the key really, again, back to the sales versus building, it's consistency. You can't start and stop.
No.
So you have to be consistent at it. And in the sales, that's an immediate gratification. You either help the family or you don't. You get paid the next day. On the building, it's more delayed gratification.
I think that was my hardest thing.
It takes a while to build up the social media relevance so that people are seeing you and coming to you on the Zip or the Craigslist. You get a lot of interviews, and then they go through the contracting, and it takes a month or two before you see really it's not instant like sales, but where it's similar is you can't stop. The only way you fail is if you stop. So you can tweak things, and it's all about adjustments.
Yeah, of course.
But being consistent is not something you adjust.
No. Consistency, structure, setting expectations, those are things just flat out.
It's non-negotiable.
Don't tweak.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable. Keep up it, because it's hard. I'm not going to lie. Recruiting has been a challenge, especially even for myself.
And so why would you recruit? So either you're going to recruit and build a team and have a passive income forever, or you're going to sell forever.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the sales side.
Yeah.
I really do.
I know, Brad Allan.
But I need to give somebody else a chance. And so training more people to step in, I think, is really that's the goal.
And that's the goal for Emerald City.
I can't be everywhere.
No, and we'll get there. And that's just our little bit of tidbits and advice of what we've seen kind of work for us, and where we're seeing kind of our momentum starting now, since we're starting over. And I'm going to be more excited for our future. And I hope if any of you guys ever need a question about recruiting or what we're doing, I mean, you can always pick my brain, or you could pick my sister, who's now leading the recruiting, and that is Shay Fontana. You have either one of us. We're here. Brad Allen's always here, and we appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yep.
Don't forget to add our social media links below, and see you guys next Friday.